MSNBC just got canceled, you guys, as one of their contributors, also a Washington Post columnist, by the way, Jennifer Rubin, just told Democrats to say that Republicans want to kill your kids. Really? Seriously, guys? Yeah, they're really saying the darndest things just to get an ounce of attention. The level of desperation's off the charts. But here's the clip right here that's going viral. Watch.
Now they're depressed, divided, and searching for meaning. Talking about Trump's landslide's no fun. So now they're seeing how far they can go and what they can get away with and wondering aloud into a microphone, can anyone hear me? Is anyone listening?
Democrats better get started now, tracking these people, holding these people accountable, and making clear to ordinary voters who voted for what and who's responsible for what. You can't talk broad themes. You have to boil it down to nuts and bolts, and you have to be pithy. What do I mean by pithy? How about this? Republicans want to kill your kids.
Republicans want to kill your kids. That's from a Washington Post reporter who sounds like she's trying to get fired by Bezos. Maybe Jennifer Rubin wants to be fired to know she's alive. It's better than getting ignored.
Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump is busy actually getting work done even before his inauguration on January 20th. In fact, the latest, a whole bunch of nominations that he just announced. Check it out.
Fox News alert. Donald Trump just released a barrage of nominations and appointments. Dr. Sebastian Gorka was appointed Deputy Assistant to the President and Senior Director for Counterterrorism. Gorka's been with Trump for a decade. This is a big job for the doctor. Trump also nominated Dr. Dave Weldon to serve as Director of the CDC. The president says Weldon will correct past errors of the CDC and focus on the prevention of disease. We also have a new Surgeon General, Dr. Jeanette Neshwat, a double board certified medical doctor who you might have seen right here on Fox News. Trump says Neshwat will play a major role in making America healthy again. Another familiar face, Dr. Marty Makary for FDA commissioner. He'll be working with RFK to evaluate harmful chemicals poisoning our nation's food supply and drugs. NFL veteran Scott Turner nominated to run the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. Turner worked with Trump in his first term to transform distressed communities. Turner, in case you're wondering, played quarterback for the Redskins, Chargers, and Broncos. Congresswoman Lori Chavez Deramer is nominated for Secretary of Labor, and Russell Vought has been nominated as Director of the Office of Management and Budget. That was the guy that Miller was singing his praises. Vought was OMB director in Trump's first term. The president says he's an aggressive cost cutter who knows how to dismantle the deep state.
What can I say, guys? Despite all the MSNBC haters, President-elect Trump continues to be the best by picking the best of the best. You know what I mean, guys? I just can't wait for this country to be amazing again. Now, seriously, guys, the next 4 years are going to be truly incredible. I mean, just take a look at the amazing credentials of Dr. Jeanette Neshwat, who was just chosen by Donald Trump for the very important role of Surgeon General.
She's double board certified medical doctor, ER medicine, family medicine. What can you tell us about this appointment?
I've worked very closely with her over the last 4 years, and during the pandemic, she's very dedicated. She's a very kind person. She's also made many humanitarian trips around the world during times of crisis, like in Haiti, like in Morocco. And I think she has a lot of skills she can bring to bear. And you know, Laura, one of the main things the Surgeon General does is they put out advisories, messaging, and I think you're going to see a lot of that from her. And that can go across the aisle, too. Maybe this issue of food that we're going to talk about, the issue of obesity.
Sorry. Dr. Siegel.
Seriously, guys, God bless all the true patriots that are working together in order to save this country. It just goes to show that we must and will prevail against evil. Am I right, guys? Now, there's also talk of a popular podcaster and former Secret Service agent by the name of Dan Bongino. He's joining the Trump administration as Secret Service Director. And let me tell you guys, Dan Bongino, he knows his Secret Service stuff. So here he is commenting on the failures of the Secret Service after the Trump assassination attempt. Watch.
But they have three institutional problems, I believe, in the macro will help us get to the bottom of how this Secret Service apocalyptic failure won't happen again. First, they have a technology problem. The joke in the Secret Service, which is sadly no longer funny when I was there, and it wasn't funny then either, is they rely on yesterday's technology tomorrow. Think about that. Yesterday's technology, tomorrow. Everything from computer systems that waste agents' times, filling out time and attendance records they were doing, to Congressman Crane and I discussing the fact that they only implemented slings, a technology as old as the wheel, about, 5 or 6 years into my time in the Secret Service, which is embarrassing. The weaponry was old. Everything was old. These are things I would have talked about sooner if they didn't create a security crisis, and I obviously didn't want to air them publicly. Now you're seeing what happens when you don't have a drone up at a site you could have bought for $39.99 on Amazon. Second, another adage in the Secret Service, you've heard even the new acting director discuss, is the more with less approach. There is no more with less. There's less with less, okay? The Secret Service more with less approach only works if you produce more. That's how capitalism works. You produce a flat screen TV that was probably 20 years ago, $10,000. It's $200 at Walmart now. They produce a better TV with less. That's not what the Secret Service did. They produced less with more. They were given more money and produced less. A 20-year-old criminal outsmarted them on a $40 drone technology piece of device. You're telling me that's more with less? That's disgusting. That's nothing with less. That's less with more. Their budget went up. You guys know, you're appropriators. You know that. Third, and I'll wrap it up with this, turn it over to Mr. Prince. The investigative mission, the Secret Service, that they're telling you they need to make them better agents is total crap. That's garbage. Their agents are talented, smart people. They can figure out how to do protection without running out cheap $20 counterfeit notes at 7-Eleven on a Friday night while the president's getting shot in the head. How is it we have a DEA, we have an FBI, we have TIGTA, the IRS, CBP, and 1,000 other entities with a $6 trillion budget, which I know a lot of you guys have been fighting against this grotesque spending. $3 billion goes to the Secret Service, and we're wasting time running out counterfeit notes. It's a serious problem, counterfeiting. Granted, it might be a legacy item. They started doing counterfeiting. That's not what we do now. Get rid of the investigative mission, turn it over to other people, let them do what they do best and should do best.
There you go, guys. Dan Bongino, honest and direct to the point, and possibly the next Secret Service director. Just in time, too, because we really need to shake up on all levels of law enforcement and security here in our country. I mean, just take a look at MSNBC sounding like they're defending the illegal immigrant who was found guilty of killing Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. Just watch.
We've gone over this 1,000 times about the Laken Riley trial, the conviction yesterday, as well as the life sentence. MSNBC put up these headlines today. I want to put them up there. Laken Riley's killer never stood a chance. And then they changed it to the guilt of Laken Riley's killer was never in doubt. They clearly figured they did something wrong here. Andy Biggs posted on X, do they know who actually stood a chance? Pointing, of course, to Laken Riley. What do you think? Maybe it was not intentional, but very thoughtless nonetheless to put up this headline.
It was 100% thoughtless, and it was disgusting that no one caught this before it went up. At the same time, it wasn't intentional. When you read the actual article, it was actually a horrible article with a really bad take, which was essentially saying that why is there controversy from conservatives over this when obviously he's going to be found guilty? That wasn't the actual controversy. The controversy was about why he was in this country to begin with. So on the one hand, you have a hideous, absolutely disgusting headline and a really, really bad take in the article.
I mean, isn't that just infuriating, guys? I mean, first, MSNBC's headline reads, Laken Riley's killer never stood a chance, making it seem like he's the victim or something like that, right? Then, right after the network basically got canceled by social media over the controversial headline, they changed it to, the guilt of Laken Riley's killer was never in doubt. Talk about a liberal 180, right? I guess they realized that defending the likes of Laken Riley killer Jose Ibarra just wasn't gonna fly with the American people anymore, especially not with Trump back in charge. Am I right, guys? Now, as for MSNBC, it looks like they're finally getting canceled after this one, especially as their original headlines seem sympathetic to Ibarra. As Senator Mike Lee put it, Laken Riley's killer is now the victim, according to MSNBC. Yeah, Donald Trump Jr. also weighed in on the original headlines, saying on X that you literally can't make up this level of depravity and that these people are freaking sick. He said that Ibarra is an illegal alien that killed an innocent young woman, but MSNBC would rather go to bat for him. And as the Spectator contributing editor Stephen Miller pointed out, this is why MSNBC, the brand, is being sold off for pennies. So apparently there's been news that NBC News and MSNBC parent company Comcast is planning to spin off several several NBC Universal networks, including MSNBC. So yeah, guys, it's not just the American people canceling MSNBC, it's their own parent company. Now, honestly, it just goes to show you the current state of the liberal media now that Donald Trump is back in power. And let me just say, good riddance. Am I right, guys? Drop a quick yes in the comments down below. Hit the subscribe button if you guys agree with what we're saying here. And don't go anywhere because there's a whole lot more to discuss in this one, guys, including why Democrats are ramming through judiciary nominees before Donald Trump's inauguration. That's right, guys. Stick around. Just a reminder, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button if you haven't already. Totally appreciate you guys. It's totally free. But let's talk a little bit about Dan Bongino because let me tell you guys, he definitely sounds like he's the man for the job when it comes to the Secret Service director position. Others on Trump's list of potential nominees, from what I've heard, Sean Caron, the head of Trump's current detail, and Robert Engel, former head of Trump's detail, who was with him on January 6, 2021, and testified to the House Select Committee about the former president's speech at the ellipse that preceded the U.S. Capitol attack. The current guy now, acting Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe, meanwhile, wasn't able to set up a meeting with Trump this week. No surprise there, considering it's partly under his leadership that Trump had to face 2 attempts on his life by would-be assassins. Members of Congress, as well as the independent review panel under the Department of Homeland Security, they agreed that the Secret Service needs to completely revamp and would benefit from an outsider coming in and refocusing the agency on its core mission of protection. Dan Bongino, for one, has been very critical of the way the former director, Kimberly Cheadle, handled things at the Secret Service. According to Dan Bongino, Cheadle put politics ahead of presidential protection and was utterly unqualified. Possibly another DEI hire from the liberal elites. But yeah, guys, just in case it wasn't clear, this decision is monumental, guys, especially after the assassination attempts on Trump earlier this year. Very terrifying stuff. The attack during a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, where a gunman managed to injure Trump and others, plus killed an innocent rally-goer, really exposed some glaring issues within the Secret Service. Because the investigation showed that there were major failures in how the agency handled things. I mean, we're talking about the breakdowns in communications, site assessments that were just plain subpar, and honestly, a general lack of preparedness from the agency that was supposed to be protecting the president-elect. Honestly, guys, it's not reaching to say that the Secret Service needs a serious overhaul. In fact, the stakes could not be any higher. This isn't just about one person's safety, but the integrity of the entire security apparatus that protects national leaders. In a podcast last week, Bongino, he said that he hadn't had any formal conversations about the position. But Dan Bongino, he spent more than a decade with the Secret Service, and individuals who worked with him praised him as a stellar agent. Plus, it doesn't hurt that the American people have already gotten to know him via his very popular podcast, right? Because that's what we need in Trump's new administration. We need people we can trust and who actually know how to do their freaking jobs. Something to keep an eye on, guys. Democrats barreling through President Joe Biden's picks for judges. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, he addressed the floor saying that he had confirmed 6 new judges this past week alone, 1 circuit court judge and 5 district court judges, bringing Biden's total number of confirmations to 220. That's right, guys, 220 judges. Still nothing compared to Trump securing 234 confirmations during his first term. So yeah, even if the Democrats fast-track their picks before Trump's inauguration, our president-elect just does it so much better. Experts predict that when Trump comes into office, he's going to have dozens more vacancies to fill, and that's not even counting the judges who will take senior status over the next 4 years. Trump said on Truth Social, no more judges confirmed before Inauguration Day. In his transition, spokesperson Brian Hughes said that they're not afraid of whatever Senate Democrats are doing right now. As he said in his official statement in his first term, President Trump appointed constitutionalist judges who interpret the law as written. He will do so again. Plus, he's going to have a similar track record this time of putting up principled and highly qualified nominees. Just ask the 76 million Americans who voted for him. In fact, public opinion is already shifting even before he's officially returned to office. Huge numbers of Republicans who previously believed that the economy was getting worse and that U.S. elections are not free and fair no longer believe these things. In fact, even Democrats seem to be keeping an open mind on our president-elect. Because although Democrats have moved in the other direction on both questions, they've done it at a much smaller degree. The survey of 1,612 U.S. adults, which is conducted from November 14th to November 18th, found that fewer than half of Republicans, 48%, now say the economy is getting worse. But immediately before the November 5th election, nearly 3/4 of Republicans, 74%, said that the economy was going downhill. That is a sudden 26% shift. Meanwhile, a mere 13% of Republicans said in a December 2021 Yahoo News YouGov poll that the 2020 election, which Trump lost to Joe Biden, then tried to overturn, had been free and fair. Last month, just 27% of Republicans predicted this year's contest would be free and fair. And so now that Trump has won, a full 89% of Republicans say that the 2024 election cleared that bar. So what does that mean? That when people trust who's in charge, things are going to get better all that much quicker. The poll also shows that Trump's win has had the reverse effect on some Democrats, but far fewer of them. For instance, the number of Republicans who say enough voter fraud was committed in 2024 to influence the outcome, 7 is 63% lower than the number who said the same after the 2020 election, 70%. But the share of Democrats who now say that there's enough fraud in 2024 to influence the outcome, 23%, is just 9 points higher than it was 4 years ago, 12%. And while reports that the economy is getting worse have fallen 26 points among Republicans since Election Day, they've risen only 5 points among Democrats, from 19% to 24%. Translation, even Democrats seem to be warming up to a Trump presidency. Who knows? Maybe even some of these Democrats actually voted for Trump in the election. Now, honestly, guys, after Biden welcomed Trump so warmly at the White House, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump already has a solid following among Democrats. You know what I mean? The Trump effect is in action, as my uncle likes to call it. But what do you guys say? Do you feel like things are on the up and up when it comes to a Trump inauguration just a few short months away? Drop a quick yes or no in the comments down below, guys. And while you're at it, make sure you're subscribed to the channel, have your notifications on as well. We got loads more videos on the channel for you guys to check out. Well, guys, the great wealth transfer is in full effect. And, you know, whether it's Donald Trump that ends up winning the election or if it's Kamala Harris, oh God, we're in a world of a pickle, as my grandfather would say. Our freedoms are being stolen, guys. Credit card companies are out to get us. And if you don't understand the game, well, you end up getting played by the game. Now, if you're anything like me, guys, you know, you were probably out of shape, maybe in debt, living paycheck to paycheck, and just feeling like the system is just completely taking advantage of you. I remember for a long time, I could rarely ever get any time to spend with my wife. And it's kind of funny because where I used to work with a lot of married men. And a lot of those married men would always complain about their spouses as if they really just didn't even like their spouses, which is sounding like a pretty horrible situation. But that was the case for many of them. They didn't like who they were married to. But I was different. Anyway, through trial and error and through a lot of pain, I figured out how to gain freedom and also lose a lot of weight and actually get in shape. And guys, I'm gonna be honest with you, that was a game changer. To no longer be living paycheck to paycheck, figuring out how to get the credit cards to pay me, the power of a strong credit score. I pay thousands of dollars less per year for the same house as my neighbor just because my credit is better than his is. And this is not to brag. I mean, but this is the truth. The banks are literally taking advantage of the poor. It's like the people who can least afford it, they're charging the poor what is like unofficially called a poor tax or a tax on the poor. I mean, I'm now at a point where, you know, like, number one, I don't pay for credit cards. In fact, credit card companies pay me to use their cards. And I figured out how to build a lifestyle that is just ultimately very, very healthy. I lost a tremendous amount of weight and I put on a lot of muscle. But when I was struggling, I wish I knew people who knew these things. So anyway, I decided to create a community of like-minded people who are also interested, just like me, in living better. So if you guys want to join my community, it's called the Liberty Pursuit Network. It is brand new. Come on over. I'd love to have you guys and join like-minded people. Be positively motivated by others who are also on the same pursuit. So I'm going to leave a link for you guys so you can join me over on the Life Pursuit Network in the description down below this video. So check it out, guys, and let's not be a victim of this great wealth transfer that is taking place right now. Now, I just uploaded a new video talking about Trump being called the second George Washington and Candace Owens revealing the real reason why Matt Gaetz was denied Attorney General position. Mind-blowing stuff, guys. Be sure to check that video out right after this one. You should see a video coming up right here. Also, you can check out our playlist and clips down below. Do not miss these, guys. Appreciate the support. We'll see you guys next time.